Hey, movement adventurers. Today we are going to adventure into a hip twist. Have you got some upper back stiffness or some lower back stiffness and you want to shake it up a little bit? Then try a hip twist. We're going to do progressions. So you can use some props or just see how you go without the props. Props that you could use are a resistance band, a block, and a soft ball. You could use a bigger ball if you like, or a pillow is another option. Once you're on your back, bring your hands onto your hips, and we're just going to shift so starting super small, shift the weight from one hip to another. And as you do this, the legs will rock a little bit from side to side. That's fine. You're just getting heavier on one side of your lower back, the back of your hip, and then the other. And while you're doing this, you're going to maintain a soft, gentle breath and stay relaxed in the neck and the shoulders and the toes. And then if you want to go a little bit more with the hips, you could walk your feet as wide as your mat or a little bit wider than your hips, and then allow just a gentle sway of the knees. And this is really gentle, relaxing movement that you can keep at a level that works for you. So you could go a little bit farther, although if you're hypermobile, I suggest not going all the way to your end range. Again, you're just keeping the breath super gentle, relaxed, and continually checking in with the shoulders. So that was moving with the legs, kind of initiating the movement. And now we're going to think about moving from the core, from the pelvis. As you inhale, allow your right hip to float a little bit off the mat, and then your legs will follow. And then as you exhale, you're going to get heavy in that right hip. It'll sink back down to the floor. Inhale, allow the left hip to float off the mat. So the movement is coming from your center, and then exhale to go back. And you can stay with any of these exercises as we go through them if you found one that works for you. But we're going to continue. So this last one, just reiterating, hip floats up and legs follow. So there'll be more work through the core for this one. And then come back through center. From here, grab your ball and we'll add a little bit of instability with the feet still on the floor. A little bit of instability or a lot. Your ball, whatever size it is, or you might be able to use a pillow for this too, is going to come right underneath your sacrum, right in the sacral area. If it's uncomfortable, skip it. We're going to move from the center. Feet are going to be wide for stability. And as though you're trying to send the ball to the right side of the mat, you're going to tip your hips to the left. And then from your center, you're going to come back and then tip your hips to the right, as though you're trying to send the ball to the left side of the mat. So try that a couple of times. And depending on how you want your ball to be squishy, depending on how big the ball is and how squishy it is, it'll feel different for you, but you want your upper back to be relaxed on the mat. And your feet to be heavy, and again, shoulders and breath, jaw, everything's trying to stay easy and relaxed here, focusing the work through the center. Lift your hips up, take your ball out. Those are some things we can do with the feet on the mat. The next level of difficulty is lifting the legs away from the support of the earth. So one way to do that is to lift the heels, and then same thing, you're tilting, trying to make the work come from the core. You could lift up right onto your toes, so legs could come together, and you could go from side to side. Then the next level of difficulty is completely floating the legs away. You could bring the legs in towards your chest so they're supported a little bit more over the hips. It might be nice to have a block between the thighs or between the knees for feedback on what's happening with the hips, as well as just helping engage those inner thigh pelvic floor muscles. All right, you can relax the shins down, and same as we were doing before, allow that left hip to float off the mat and then bring it back to center. Now it's holding the weight of the legs, so it might feel less floaty and a little more lifty, but can you do this without cranking the shoulders or the jaw? Allowing the work to come from the center. And that same feeling of getting light in one hip and the other one gets heavy. So to make this more challenging, you could extend the legs to tabletop or up towards the ceiling. So again, adding on a little more challenge depending on how you're feeling from day to day. Gentle squeeze of the block or the pillow between your knees. Then if you want to add on, you could add a hold. So you will lift the right hip off, tilt, find a position where you can hold for a short or a long count, and then come on back through center, and then over to the other side, same thing. Find a position that you can hold for a couple of breaths, and then come on back. And remember, you can take a rest at any point. One other one that's nice to use is the resistance band, particularly if you're hypermobile. Bring your feet into the band. I just like to cross my band. Legs are lifted, or they could be in tabletop. Experiment and see which one is more challenging for you. Legs are together. Lift from the core, from the back of the hip to tilt the legs over to the side, and then come on back through center and up and over to the other side. And now you have this feedback. You can reach your feet into the band to help connect from your feet all the way up to your center. Good. All right. Now, if you are, say, having your legs in your tabletop position and you're like, this is pretty easy, I'm just going from side to side, you're going to check in with your legs, and you want to make sure that your shins and your knees stay glued together and parallel as you go from side to side, so that you know you're lifting from the center. So if there's a sliding there of the legs, then you know you're not doing equal work on both sides and lifting up that hip that's supposed to lift as much as it should. It should feel like more work. And that nice twisting of the spine is going to help loosen up the upper back as well, since everything is connected from the hips to the upper back. Hope you enjoyed that little class, and let me know in the comments below what you think or if you have any questions. See you again soon.